And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Wxcenter live once again, Sunday morning, 8 o'clock update. I'm breaking my Sabbath rule, and we are going live this morning just because, it's been a crazy last couple of days with Hurricane Tammy and all the different up-and-comings that we have out in the tropics, so figure might as well end the weekend on a high note and do one last live. Yes, unfortunately, this is going to be the last live of the weekend until tomorrow. We're back to our regularly scheduled programming. We'll do our 6 p.m. regular segment update. I haven't done one of those in a couple days now. And we will be back to our usually scheduled 8 p.m. Tropics talk tomorrow night for Monday. Got my super greens here ready to go. Good morning to everybody. I hope everyone's doing wonderful out there, regardless of where you are. Good news coming out of the Lesser Antilles. Anguilla, St. Martin, St. Bart's, all y'all missed a direct hit. The storm looks like it wobbled back to the north, so unfortunately, Bermuda took the hit. It wandered just barely to the west, and Bermuda took a head-on collision with it, so we're hoping that everything's okay out there. I'm hoping we get a few viewers from the Bermuda area, or anybody in Antigua, for that matter, who can help verify what's going on down there. But everybody else is in the clear in terms of taking a landfall. This thing's moving north now. We just have to worry about the residual backside moisture, the thunderstorm activity that's been training with that upper low cold pocket that's down there in the eastern Caribbean. And we're starting here on National Hurricane Center's page because take a look at that. All of a sudden, this thing just got elevated like crazy. We have a new invest area. It's 95L once again. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about the future of Tammy because I'm really beginning to think that, ironically, I did not think we'd be talking about this, but of all places, Florida is going to try to have Tammy make a run. She's going to try to sprint to the finish, and she might head our way. We'll talk about that real briefly. We're going to church this morning, guys, so I'm going to have to cut this one a little bit short. We probably might not even make it to the hour mark. I want to make sure that we have time to get out the door, wrangle up the rest of the family members down the road, and get over to church this morning. There's a performance going on at our church, so we want to make sure we get there in time. But nonetheless, I definitely wanted to come in, you guys, and talk weather, see how everyone's doing, see what we got going on in the Lesser Antilles, kind of broad brush everything that we're watching to kind of give you an idea of what this week's going to look like, because this week's going to be pivotal, not only with Tammy, but our new 95L out there, as well as what else is out there in the main development region still brewing up. And I also want to say a very, very, very kind thank you to everybody out there. YouTube finally authorized 5,000 subscribers. I'm nervous that we're going to get audited again because so many of you guys are jumping on the Wxcenter channel. I wouldn't be surprised if YouTube tried to wipe out my subscription again. I don't know why it's been doing that since Friday. But just make sure you double-check your subscription status, please. It's not about the subs or anything like that, but yesterday we had a little bit of a discussion in the chat, and there were a lot of people, even recurring viewers of mine, who said that they had been unsubscribed for some strange reason. So please double-check that if you can. But yeah, thank you. Very, very kind of cheers. I know this is not, it's Sunday. It's a holy day, but I'll cheers to that, definitely. Let's say good morning to everybody. Zenful, good morning. Ethan's Life. Tammy is to the north. Tammy is finally to the north. We're looking at all the backside moisture and thunderstorm activity now. No more threats for landfall, at least in the immediate future. Miss Leah the Bombshell, good morning. Brian, good morning, buddy. Dark Earth, greetings, good morning. Who else do we have in here? How close are we? Good morning. Guy Lake, good morning. St. Martin, yes, you're out of the hurricane zone. Everybody out there is out of the hurricane zone. Anguilla, St. Martin, St. Bart's, everybody down to the south, St. Kitts and Nevis, Montserrat, everybody who we were kind of touching on yesterday outside of Antigua and Barbuda, you guys are in the safe zone now. You still have some potential flooding that could work its way up. And we'll switch over to the satellite imagery here in a second. You can see that we still have quite a bit of thunderstorm activity to the south. That upper low feature that's just kicking it in the Caribbean is helping to ignite some of that thunderstorm activity along the south side of Tammy. So really going to have to watch this closely. But in terms of the strongest stuff, as you can see, she's north now. So everybody, the Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico to the west, all of our other Antilles down there, you guys are away from the most substantial hurricane force conditions. Now it's just a matter of what that backside pocket decides to do as we move through time. Antigua is safe. Yes, it's safe. Yes, definitely. Good morning, Devil Charger. Elizabeth, good morning. From Trinidad, good morning. Nietzsche Harris, good morning. It's raining here in Antigua. Good morning. Barbuda had a rough night. Power is off at the moment over there. Yeah, unfortunately, they're the only location that took a very bad hit, unfortunately. I mean, it's fortunate and unfortunate because had it tracked further west, like a lot of our model guidance was depicting, this could have been a lot worse for a lot of people down there. So, I mean, again, it's a matter of perspective. I wish that we could have dodged everybody. It looked like it was going in that direction, but unfortunately, at the last second, Barbuda got right under the gun with this thing, sadly. So, I mean, that's what happens with these things. They wiggle and they wobble, and no model is that accurate to predict exactly where it's going to go. So, I mean, from Dominica north into Guadeloupe, Antigua, all you guys definitely lucked out because I know initial forecast trends from National Hurricane Center had a landfall in Guadeloupe. Antigua and St. Kitts and Nevis were going to get in the bad side of this storm, and luckily it moved east. So, you know, it's glass half empty, glass half full. Barbuda, we have a lot of relief efforts more than likely getting started on the way out there for you guys. I wouldn't be surprised if they're already getting started now since you have a very brief, or you've had a brief reprieve from the thunderstorm activity. Now that that stuff is flaring up to the south, might slow some things down. But the worst of what Tammy has to offer, that Category 1 gusting upwards of Category 2 level wind speeds, the hardest thunderstorm activity near the eye wall in the right front quadrant is to the north now, and it's going to continue moving to the north. This is where things are going to get tricky. We have a lot we need to watch out for from here on out, and like I said, for those of you just joining in, we're at about 100 viewers right now. Bermuda, we're still keeping an eye on you. Our deterministic models are wishy-washy. We don't know when it's going to stall. We don't know if it's going to stall. We don't know if it's going to ride the front. We don't know if it's going to move west. We don't know if it's going to come at Florida. So there's a lot of things that we need to keep an eye on. I've seen a few videos from the islands. Cars flooded. Yeah. Ethan, yeah, that's okay. I did a lot of live streams the last couple days. I felt that live streams would probably be our best bet in this situation because of all the different things happening at once. So don't feel bad. I mean, you guys have been in it. You guys have been riding along with me through this whole process. Let's switch over to the water vapor real quick, and then once we get to about the 15-minute mark, we'll go and expand on our tropics. We'll start looking at everything. But yeah, you can see here on satellite, here's Tammy moving north like so, and then there's that big old upper low that's running right into the backside of her. And even at the very end of the satellite loop, if you track it through, let me go ahead and slow it down for you guys so you can see. Right there. It's very bizarre. It's fortunate, or not, it's not fortunate, but it's interesting to see. We have this, there goes my giant pen, Dark Earth. I don't know what happened, but there goes the giant pen again. We have Tammy here, and then we have our upper low, almost like little tut, if you will, tropical upper tropospheric trough right in through here. And unfortunately, that's exactly what keeps igniting all the wind, all the thunderstorm activity, because you have inflow coming around the backside of Tammy herself. I'm going to drop the size of the pen and draw a little bit more. You have inflow moving into the backside of Tammy's circulation, and then you have the winds coming off of this little upper low feature that's trying to move underneath Tammy. They're kind of dancing around one another. This upper low here, as I mentioned the name, is above Tammy, helping to try to disturb any further symmetry and strengthening that Tammy tries to undergo. Once she can get far enough to the north, we could maybe see a little bit of deepening before she starts to weaken as she moves to the north, but this low here, this upper low feature in the atmosphere is what's going to help keep these thunderstorms alive and kicking. It looks like we're still in the same general area as when we went to bed last night for most of us. St. Lucia, Martinique, Dominica. Guadeloupe now is definitely seeing it. Antigua has the feeder bandage whirling through that area as well. It looks like we could probably start seeing some thunderstorm activity, St. Kitts and Nevis and Montserrat as well. It's moving up to the north, so Barbuda is safe now, yes. Everybody down there, that's the main reason I want to jump on the stream this morning, is thankfully, in terms of the worst that this storm has to offer, the center of circulation, the eye wall, the strongest winds that unfortunately Barbuda realized last night, that is all gone. That's all to the north now. We're good. We can check that box. There's no one else out there that needs to worry about taking a direct hit from this storm. You can see it plain as day, right up in through here, just to the north of our three island nations, Anguilla, St. Martin, and St. Bart's. It's just to the north now. We lost the radar on windy.com, but you watch the GIF here, the GIF here, you can see, unfortunately, Bermuda took the direct hit, but then here's our island triad we were talking about yesterday, and you could see it moved well to the east of them, so nothing really significant coming out of that. So Anguilla, if I have viewers out there still, BVI, British Virgin Islands, U.S. Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, we had a lot of viewers in yesterday looking from that area. You guys are good. She's moving north-northwest, and she's going to dodge you guys. A lot of the main activity now, as you can see on this radar image at the very back end, is going to be all this inflow moisture and thunderstorm activity wrapping around the backside of it. This is when the flood chances, unfortunately, is going to go way up. 90-mile-an-hour winds, so it should be stronger than 85. I say 90 on 987. Now, Alex Baller, was that sustained for a 10-minute period? Or I should say, actually, technically sustained winds from what I remember Air Force weather rule was 2 minutes. 2-minute average sustained, 90 miles an hour. Because if that was a recorded gust, then that wouldn't be the intensity. Because the max sustained winds, as the name implies, is how much will be consistently blowing for a 2-minute average period. Peak gusts aren't recorded by National Hurricane Center. They try to forecast the peak gusts, but that's not what the advisories indicate. So if you could confirm that, Alex Baller, that'd be awesome. Because if it is 90, then yeah, we could still be seeing a strength. Okay, then perfect. So, I mean, it could still be strengthening. It's trying to pull up and away from that upper low that's disturbing it down there. So I wouldn't be surprised if it is trying to strengthen. Is this as of 8 a.m.? Yep, 992, moving north-northwest at 10 miles an hour. And that's exactly what she's going to continue to do, thankfully. And then we got to check this bad boy out. Very interesting that they changed the little area of development here, because a lot of the folks were talking that this was supposed to go across Central America and then maybe reform in the East Pac. Some of our models, I noticed the Icon, of course, I've been praising the Icon the last couple days. The Icon model, I noticed on a few runs, had it doing something like this and making its way into the Gulf. I think that GFS also jumped aboard that train not too long ago. The European model, I really didn't see too much come out of it, and it also didn't seem like it was going to do much on the Canadian model. The Canadian model was going to move it west through Central America and then into the East Pac AOR. Cold, good question. We're going to get into that. In my opinion, I'm not ruling out that we won't or will see anything, but we'll definitely want to watch it. That's going to be one of the main priorities of this live stream. That's why we're coming in to talk about it now. Because Tammy looks like she's going to misbehave. We might miss Bermuda, thankfully. But the Bahamas are going to have to watch for an influx of moisture from her, and then the southeast coastline of Florida, all the way up to maybe the Melbourne Space Coast area, might need to watch out as we go through time. Let's go ahead and switch over real quick to 95. Let's see what kind of model data we have on that. Here we go. Yeah, I mean, it's looking very blobbish. You can see a lot of the models, though, do still track it into Central America. One or two of them have it escaping into the Bay of Campeche like our blob did a few weeks ago. But, I mean, you know, I wouldn't sweat this too much. I wouldn't worry too much about it. That's not going to be one of the things we want to focus on. In my opinion, that's my opinion. I really haven't seen a whole lot come out of this. This is going to be just, unfortunately, a rainmaker and a flood maker for some of our islands down there. Not islands, excuse me. I mean, there are some islands, but our countries down there in Central America. Nicaragua's taking a direct hit from it right now, and then Honduras, just to the northwest of that location, is probably going to see a lot of rain from it as well. Florida might be a potential target. Yes, ma'am. You got it. Good morning from Bermuda. Victor, thank you for joining us. Good that you're in here, because we're going to talk Bermuda a little bit. Let's switch over to the track guidance for Tammy. As you can see, we have a general consensus at this point that she is going to turn west. The rough question at this point now is when, because we have some that want to take it west early, pointing it right towards the southeast coastline of Florida. We have a bunch of members that want to take it west in between Bermuda and the state of Florida, with some of them trying to arc it back to the west-southwest after we get beyond that 168-hour mark, and then we have others pointing it towards Bermuda. So just like we talked about yesterday before we cut the live stream, our new AOR that we want to be monitoring from is going to be, believe it or not, from the Bahamas, Florida, up to Bermuda, and then further to the west, looking at the Carolinas and the Georgia coastline. because we're going to have a massive polar high set up to the north of her, and it's going to drive her due west. That high is going to be bona fide, modified polar air from up north, so it's going to be one of our stronger highs than we've seen out there in the Atlantic for most of the hurricane season. Even the Azores Bermuda high hasn't been this strong. If we do a zoomed-out perspective, I'll show you guys real quick. We'll use the 0Z Euro in this case. And see, you could already see I was looking at wind shear and all that to see if maybe it can actually sustain a trip from the west central Atlantic all the way through to the Bahamas. And I mean, we're going to have to watch, because you look and the shear kind of waxes itself off. We have that big old trough coming down that moves into the Caribbean, the one that we've been highlighting for the last couple days on this channel. And, you know, it looks like that trough is going to take some of that shear away. So Tammy might have a decent chance at least maintaining tropical storm level intensity. We'll have to watch out. The Euro thinks it's going to wash out. Euro thinks it's going to move into the Bahamas and then finally lose itself as that ridge really gets going. And then if you look down over the Caribbean, we're going to have a huge anticyclone through there as well. So we'll have to watch the progress of the tropical waves in the tropical Atlantic right now. I keep hearing my hometown and coast a few times now already. It would make chasing easy. Good morning from East Central Florida. Thank you for doing the updates. Nerd Guru, welcome in. Of course. What happened to the disturbance that was behind Hurricane Tammy? And it hasn't changed. It's still out there. We just lost a lot of the thunderstorm activity with it. Those things tend to do that sometimes. They'll really, really amp up, and then they'll lose a lot of their thunderstorm characteristics overnight. So you can see it right here, washes out. There's still a little bit of an axis out there. Tropical waves are not very organized, as the name implies. If you look at them in the pattern, they're just waves. Waves in the isobars, waves in the winds. So there really isn't a whole lot of consolidated or organized thunderstorm activity to them. You can still see the one behind that is looking fairly good. This one right here, it's just dropped in size. And, you know, that's pretty typical. Once you get out of that intertropical convergence zone, you lose a lot of the energy that is kind of supporting it off of Africa and the convergent wind flow from our tropics and the actual southern hemisphere tropics. And they kind of have to... It's like a mother bird pushing it out of the nest. It's either fly or fall at this point. And if they don't hold on to that thunderstorm activity and try to organize, then they're just going to lose it altogether. But this is exactly what's going to drive Tammy west. If you look at the satellite here, it's kind of making sense. Look at all this very, very pungent cold air punching east. You could see it really wrapping up in our nor'easter system. So the northeast United States is seeing it big time. They got a lot of snow probably pulling in. Very, very dense cold air working its way into this occluded low, ridging across the Atlantic. And it's moving fast, too. And I think that's exactly why Tammy's going to move west, because she's crawling still. We're at a whopping 10 miles an hour, and this thing here is moving easily at 30 to 40 miles an hour, whipping it across the northern Atlantic. And back behind it, I'll draw it with my yellow ink. All this here is going to be high pressure. So you can already see we're setting the stage. As this continues to move further and further to the east, high pressure is just going with it. And if you imagine, once Tammy gets right about to here-ish, give or take, that high pressure is going to be barreling in across the Atlantic. So she's going to have nothing better to do. I'll switch the ink one last time. We'll go green. She's going to have nothing better to do besides go whoop. So it makes sense. It definitely makes sense. Stevens, are we good in St. Martin now? Yes, sir, you are. We got to watch what comes up from the south. We have that upper low feature that's helping to ignite thunderstorms along Tammy's southern flank. But in terms of taking a direct landfall and seeing hurricane force conditions and all that, you guys are looking good. The center of Tammy is now to the north of all of our Lesser Antilles and Greater Antilles, for that matter. British Virgin Islands, U.S. Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico as well. You're going to dodge the bullet on this one, thankfully. Look at the big old cloud slide on the north. Yeah. So yeah, guys, I mean, that's what we're going to have to watch out for, is when she decides to stop and move west. And then the big question is that cold air going to sink far enough down to the south to really start washing her out, or are we going to see this subtropical ridging take over? If the subtropical ridging takes over, then what would likely happen is the shear would go up. The shear would likely go up. Zenful, good morning. I see you popping in the chat. Sorry about that. I almost missed you there. If that subtropical ridge takes over, we'll see the shear go up, and that'll likely increase the chances of her weakening before making it to the southeast and even the Bahamas for that matter. If that bubble of cold air, and actually, you know what's crazy, guys? If you look, I think we can see it. I think you can see that cold pocket getting ready to come down. Let me see if I can change the satellite. Or actually, we'll go over to College of DuPage. I know that we can zoom in a little bit better with their regional segments. Yeah, I think we can see that cold pocket getting ready to come down. We'll go continental U.S., and then we'll play this right here. Let me go out a little further in time. We'll go, we'll do 96 so we can track it. So there's our nor'easter. Yeah, it looks like our cold pocket is right here. There it is. Because you can see this big old ridge. We have an embedded low here. Another big old baroclinic low here. More frontal systems moving across. You can see the fronts associated with this one. The fronts associated with this. Here's what's left of Norma working her way into Mexico, having moved past Baja California. This is going to be our cold pocket. This is what's going to move and try to sink south. That's also going to try to pick Tammy up, and depending on how potent or pungent this is, that can also help to weaken her and modify Tammy. So, you know, it's anybody's best guess. There's a lot of moving pieces that we still have to watch as we go forward in time, and a lot of it is going to rain on whether or not it makes that westward turn sooner or later. Lots of different things we have to watch out for. Do I have good luck for a tropical storm to come to southeast Florida? I really want to chase with my dad. I haven't been with him recently a lot. I want to do chasing with him like we did with Irma. You know, Alex, just because you said that, I'll root for this storm. I mean, that sounds great. Honestly, I'm not going to say yay or nay. It's too early to tell, unfortunately, but, you know, that sounds great. So we'll see. If we can get a low-end storm in here, it's not going to be that bad for us here in Florida. It's coming down in Antigua. Do you know when it will end? It feels the same as when it got slightly hit by Philippe. Yeah, Edmund, unfortunately, what's going to happen is now we have all of that backside stuff with Tammy really working its way through. So it's likely to linger and manifest itself there for an extended period of time. We still have that upper low feature to its southwest right in through here that's helping to really create a large field of thunderstorm activity. And the sad thing is those storms are not moving. Tammy's trying to move to the north, but because of this secondary low that you can't see it on this satellite, but it's down there. If I switch over to water vapor, you'll see it. Because of this low down here increasing the wind shear, you can see it in the clouds ripping to the north down there. All that increased wind flow interacting with the inflow, the convergent wind flow on the backside of Tammy is what's keeping those thunderstorms parked. That's the sad thing. It's helping to really kick those bands off and create some tremendous thunderstorm activity. It looks like we're still seeing extended periods of rainfall from Antigua, and yeah, unfortunately, Barbuda is seeing the rainfall now too. It looks like we have a band developing overhead for Barbuda, Montserrat, Antigua, all the way south through Guadalupe, and then it looks like just to the north of St. Vincent, so St. Lucia, Dominica, and Martinique are still seeing the thunderstorms as well. Barbados, further to the south, the Grenadines, Grenada, you guys are not seeing anything right now. Trinidad, Tobago, you guys are okay. It looks like the thunderstorm swath as well to your north. So Barbados especially, I don't think we're going to have to do battle with any significant flooding as of right now, which is good. I'm watching from St. Martin. Thanks for the updates. Roddy, you're very welcome. Very welcome. I wanted to make sure to pop in and check in on you guys, especially now that the worst of the storm, the core, is to your north. Since the start of this, the models have done like almost snake-like movements back and forth. Yes, Doff Boy, they have. Chance of Tammy crossing across Florida. There's a chance. That's what we're talking about this morning. There's definitely a solid chance. It's very interesting what's going to be panning out over the next several days. We got to watch what happens with Tammy, and we got to watch what these upstream features, what they decide to do. I noticed that yesterday the Canadian model overnight washed out our chances of seeing substantial development in the Caribbean. I'm not too sure what changed. I'm not too sure why, but I mean, you track this through and you see that we do get the waves in there, but nothing really comes of it. You could see it too. I mean, it tracks it right into Florida. If you look, it does. It's right here. It moves through and comes right in. So it takes that tropical wave through our Caribbean islands and then punches it right into state of Florida before getting picked up by that cold front right here. It just doesn't develop at this time. And then we get another little spin up in the Caribbean, same general area off of the gyre down there, Central America. It looks like something rotates out in the same general area as 95L is down there, like so. So I'm not going to give up on it. I'm not going to say that just because one model run of the Canadian model washed it, that there's nothing to watch out for. This is going to happen because models struggle with developing these features. But the thing is it's still there. It's still represented. You get a little bubble of lower pressure tracking through. It's right there. You can clearly see it in the isobars. Look at all this kinking going on right there, and increased precip on either side of it. It tracks it through our leeward islands, up through Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, into the Bahamas, and then parks itself over Florida before this front can come and shoot it back out to the northeast. So we still need to watch. Just because it doesn't form up on one model run does not mean that it's not going to form up at all. I bet if we take a look at the ensembles from the Canadian, it's probably still in full agreement that we could see, yeah, there it is. It's still in full agreement that we could see something developing out of that and wandering to the north. The Canadian ensembles also take Tammy right into Florida. You see that? It's splitting the difference. You have some of it here, and then a lot of the ensemble members do this and take it right through the peninsula of Florida. Doesn't look like it holds on to its intensity, though. We could have a very low-end tropical storm, or mid-grade tropical storm, 1,000 millibar system trying to make its way into Florida at this point on the 29th, going into the 30th. And you see great agreement for something still coming out of the Caribbean. So we're still hot. We still have a hot zone we have to watch out for. Should we be concerned in the Cayman Islands? Shania, good question. I would say just keep an eye out. We're going to continue to monitor. The models are back and forth on the progression of that tropical wave. We could see some elevated rain chances, even with 95L down there, depending on how much it wobbles to the north. But we're keeping an eye out. We're keeping a close eye out, that's for sure. I'll make sure to keep everybody updated as this progresses. If you look at the icon from last night, here's 6Z. It keeps Tammy well out. Yeah, it stalls it for a while. And then finally, once that 1027 high parks over, you can see that it's going to shoot it off in this direction as well. I believe the European model last night at 0 Zulu did the same thing. Let's switch over. We'll go 0Z. There she is. You can see it stalls out. Icon and Euro are right on top of each other. So you have great model-to-model consistency there. It starts to weaken, and then, bam, shoots right in. You can see we still have a bit of a weak circulation impacting the Bahamas as it heads towards southeastern Florida. So now the big question is it going to hold on to its intensity? Because the Euro has it sustaining itself till right about there on the 29th. Then it very rapidly fills and dissipates. So I don't know. I definitely think we should keep an eye out. You can see that our next system in the Southern Caribbean does start to try to develop down there, according to the Euro as well. That's the one that we want to watch out for you out there, Shania, in the Cayman Islands and Jamaica. You can see that the European does have something spinning up down there, and it could wander this way. And there's no saying that we can't see some increased thunderstorm activity and just overall moisture content with this system lift to your north. Cheryl, good morning. Ugh. I got a large chunk of greens on that one. I'm healthy, and I'm just kidding. Good morning. Appreciate efforts to keep us up to date from Antigua and Barbuda. You're very welcome, Cheryl, of course. Thank you for tuning in this morning and taking your time to watch the update and look at everything that's going on out there. Thankfully, everybody in Antigua, Barbuda, the worst that the hurricane itself has to offer is over. We have a lot of potential flooding conditions that could surge to the north because of the interaction of our two circulations down there. That keeps raining going on for most of the Leeward Islands particularly, so we'll have to monitor the progression of that, see if we can get that upper low to start washing out and diminishing so that way our shear goes down and that boundary between the two can dissipate and allow those thunderstorms to finally just rain themselves out. No thunderstorms in Antigua, heavy intermittent showers from the south-southwest, though. That makes sense. Thankfully, there's no real pertinent thunderstorms. I believe windy, we can see what's going on out there, yeah, so... Barbuda, it looks like, has a good thin line of banding getting ready to work its way through. Antigua, you're right in between the mess of shower activity to your south, and as you mentioned, the southwest, so good call on that. Montserrat has some thunderstorm activity going through. Guadalupe is in between the hardest of the bands, and then you can see that we still have rainfall and thunderstorms upstream of Dominica as well as Martinique. St. Lucia, you might dodge the bullet on this one. It looks like we had some stuff work its way off to your northeast. And with the general trend of these storms, if you track them forward, this is the general direction they're taking, moving from the southwest up to the northeast. So if you have something directly behind you to the southwest, that's a good time to understand that you're probably going to see rainfall as it works its way in. If it's to your west or to your north, it's not coming in because of the steering flow out there. Pardon me. So this is what we're dealing with. You can see that the rainfall continues to evolve out there. These thunderstorm structures and the overall swath of precipitation just continues to change. We have 4 distinct stripes now, it looks like, 3 and then 4. And it looks like this one is finally dissipating, so we can not worry about that. And there's no one downstream of it or out ahead of it, so that's a good sign. So we're not out of the flood risk yet. The flood risk is going to be extended for most of the day today, unfortunately. It looks like until we get into Sunday night, maybe even into tomorrow, those rains are really not going to have a chance to stop dumping down on you guys, especially for the Leeward Islands. The Windward Islands, not so much. The boundary between our 2 circulation centers is parked generally over the Leeward Islands. So if you're down there and we'll say, I mean, looking at St. Lucia right now, if you're in St. Lucia, south into Barbados, St. Vincent, the Grenadines, Grenada, and then closer to South America, Trinidad, Tobago for that matter, you guys should be okay. You shouldn't have to worry too much about potential flash flooding as these bands work their way through. Is it raining in Antigua? It looks like you're getting a little bit of a break. You have some showers in your direct vicinity within 5 nautical miles of the coast, but it doesn't look like it's raining right now. Bermuda's getting the rain. Wow, I apologize, guys. Nazarian and Barbados yesterday, we had a ton of rainfall. Even saw a video of 2 cars floating. Thankfully, Tammy should be the last threat to the islands this year with a name. Yes, supernova, I agree. And luckily, Barbados should have a hiatus from rainfall today, unless we see some thunderstorm activity as the sun gets going down there. The sun's already up for you guys, so if there's any kind of sun surface heating that's going to help instigate some thunderstorm convection, we'd already be seeing it. And if we transition over to the true color satellite, it doesn't really look like there's anything unstable out there right now. In fact, it looks like you've gone back to low-level prevailing easterlies. So a lot of the main action is going to be confined to this quadrant here because of our low there and then Tammy up here. All those convergent wind flows. You have the convergence provided by those prevailing easterlies. Then you have the winds coming off of that upper low. You can kind of see it too. And then the upper level shear helping to give those thunderstorms some height. So once again, this is the same situation we had almost with Philippe. A lot of people were saying that Philippe was the one dropping a ton of rain and Philippe was the immediate threat. In this case, unfortunately, you guys are just in a very bad place in terms of what the environmental flow looks like. I mean, Tammy's up here. You have westerly winds here, you have prevailing easterlies here, and then you have the inflow on the backside of Tammy. It's a textbook area of convergent winds, and that's why your storms are not really going to go anywhere. And that's the sad part, is you already had the hurricane work its way through. In this case now, with your environmental setup, with the wind flow in the atmosphere at all levels, that rain and those thunderstorms are just going to ignite in that general pocket for most of the day until something moves. It's either going to be Tammy, it's going to be the upper low, or because the prevailing easterlies are not going to stop. Coming out of the tropical Atlantic, those are definitely not going to stop. So one of the 2 circulations, either that upper low in the upper levels over Eastern Caribbean Sea or Tammy, needs to get up out of there to stop the rains. Catherine, so in terms of what Tammy's going to do, you're in the clear, hun. Catherine Brown, good morning, my friend. What should Anguilla expect from Tammy? You're in the clear. Tammy is to your north. You guys dodged the center of circulation and moved well to your east last night. Thankfully, it looks like you're going to get a break from a lot of the thunderstorms for now, but later this afternoon into the early evening hours, as all that stuff that's impacting the Leeward Islands to your south moves north, that's when your rain chances are going to go up. So sometime middle of the day today into tonight is when you're going to start seeing rainfall and those feeder bands work their way in. Right now, because of the dynamics I have drawn on the screen, everything is sort of parked. It's stationary. Can we get a Halloween hurricane? I don't know about a hurricane. It's going to be a stretch to see if this thing holds on to its intensity. The real big determinant now to kind of see if what's going to happen in the future is what she does now that she's back over open water. If she runs up against the front and that front really starts to shear it out, you can see it right in through here. All that upper level wind shear is just screaming up to the east northeast. Fronts bring shear, they bring cold air. Tropical systems don't like that. So we're going to have to monitor exactly what happens over the next 48 to 72 hours with her intensity and her overall structure. If she can keep this symmetry that we see on satellite right now and sustain Category 1 hurricane strength before moving to the west, then we're going to have to monitor for sure to see how much of that intensity she holds on to. If she starts weakening like National Hurricane Center is predicting once we start to interact with that front, then it's only a matter of time before she bleeds to death. No, I agree, yeah. Alex Baller, you're right that we still have favorable conditions out there, but in terms of named systems coming out of the main development region, it's looking a little bit lower. All of our models think that the Caribbean is going to be our primary source region. Obviously, Tammy proved us wrong, so, anything's possible, but at least in the immediate future for the next 5 to 7 days, nothing named is coming out of the west, or coming out of the east, I should say. All right, folks, we got about 10 more minutes, and then I got to jump off the stream. Like I said, we're going to be going to church this morning, so want to make sure we give us enough time to head on in that direction. It looks like it, Brian. Just have to see what happens. Catherine, thank you so much. You're very welcome. Thanks for asking the good questions. Strong winds and a lot of rain here on the south coast of the island here in Antigua. I live in the English Harbor coast. That makes sense because if you look at the satellite, it's hard to tell maybe from you guys where you're watching from, but there is a band of feeder activity right there, getting pulled into the southern flank of this storm. So to make sense, you're seeing the increase in winds and rain. Bermuda, Avril, we're going to watch for Bermuda. A lot hangs on the table, or a lot lies in terms of when this system stalls. The big thing is going to be stalling it out. If she stalls well to the south of Bermuda, it's safe to say that it's probably going to move west faster. If we continue to see this northward progress past that 25-degree latitude line right up in through here, if she continues moving, it's safe to say that Bermuda will need to increase their monitoring and their preparations just in case. If she parks herself south of that latitude line and stalls out like we're anticipating, then it's going to be definitely more of a Bahamas, southeastern United States threat, depending on if she can hold her intensity. How much rainfall will happen for Guadalupe today? Looks like it could be the 10 inches National Hurricane Center was forecasting. Hopefully not. Let's go ahead and take a deep dive into that real quick. Let's go to weathermodels.com. Here we are on the Euro. We'll go to precip accumulation, and let's see what we got. Let's see what we're looking at. So right now, according to the Euro, we could see maybe the European model with all those thunderstorms out there over the next 72 hours is calling for a total accumulation of about 4 to 5 inches. These thunderstorms are very robust. They blow up and then they pop down. So they're very pulse-like in nature. They'll get a lot of upward vertical motion with them and then they'll rain themselves out quickly. It's mainly due in part to the shear out there. Back in Air Force weather, we had a little chart to determine what type of thunderstorm activity we'll typically see. And in high shear environments like that, and I guess you could say moderate buoyancy, and when I say buoyancy, it's just how much lift in the atmosphere these parcels will get. And right now we have a lot of lift being provided by our upper low and Hurricane Tammy. There's not a whole lot of overall buoyancy in the environment due to surface heating or convection, as we call it. So we're going to see pulse-like thunderstorms where a lot of the core of those storms are going to rain out quick and then try to reform somewhere else, to where you'll probably see intermittent, very heavy rainfall, very bad feeder band activity, and then it'll taper off for a brief instance and turn into showery rain, lighter rainfall, lower winds, and then you'll get another round of very, very intense thunderstorm activity. So it's going to be tough to call total accumulation. The Euro right now, as of 0Z, is looking for 5, maybe 6 inches. 4 to 6 is the average for most of our leeward islands. The southern portion of the Lesser Antilles, the Windward Islands, and even Barbados looks like maybe in the next 3 days you'll see another ½ inch of rain at best. So it looks like from St. Lucia, maybe St. Vincent we'll say St. Lucia isn't out of the picture yet, but St. Vincent and south, towards South America, Trinidad, Tobago, and all those areas, you guys are okay for now. Not going to see too much down there. Plus, the wind flow from either side really doesn't support thunderstorms that far to the south, but we'll still keep an eye on it. Anguilla is cloudy. I just want to know if I can wash. What do you mean wash, Kamika? Thank you for coming on live this morning to give us the update for Anguilla. Much appreciated. Have a blessed Sunday. You as well, NM3. I wanted to come in with some good news because I was a little concerned with that westward fetch that Tammy was doing last night that put her straight into Bermuda. I was nervous we were going to continue to see that angle and Anguilla may have to bunker or batten down the hatches. But in this case, she straightened herself out and moved off to the north and east. So good stuff. We're still watching for all this banding activity and thunderstorm activity, but it looks like the worst that the storm has to offer, the Category 1 intensity winds and all that really nailed Bermuda, is away from everybody. Do you think 95L could steal the name of Vince before landfall? According to National Hurricane Center, it's going to try. It's going to try. It depends on how slow it moves. We do have favorable environment out there for it to develop before it moves into Nicaragua and Honduras. So we'll have to watch. It's possible, and then we'll be left with Whitney. Whitney's the one that I was talking about, I think, a little over a week ago that could sneak up on us. I see that. I'm sorry about that. Right now, I'd say if you get on the ball with it here shortly after this live stream concludes. A lot of the more intense thunderstorms are off to your south and east, but they will be working their way north as that upper low continues to move and Hurricane Tammy moves to the north. The wind flow and where all that thunderstorm activity is firing is going to reorient itself as well. So I'd say the sooner you get on that, the better. If you look at radar right now, there's really nothing out there. So I'd say, take advantage. Because you guys are up in this general area, and you have a nice little dead zone. It looks like Bermuda, south into Antigua, and then St. Kitts and Nevis is right on the threshold of seeing a little bit of shower activity. But up there in Anguilla, St. Martin, St. Bart's, you guys are doing okay. You have a pretty nice dead spot right in through here. And that's all just going to continue to funnel north. It'll take a little bit before it can work its way off to the west and start impacting your area. Avril, thank you very much. Have a blessed day in church. You as well. Everybody else in here, if you are going to church today or worshiping the Lord in one way, shape, or form, God bless you for that. I hope you guys enjoy. Replenish the spiritual faith and the spiritual gas tanks before we start a new week. Lucien, good morning. Just hang your clothes inside the house. Technically, Roddy, you could do that. Happy Sunday. I thought we wouldn't have seen you today. I'm so glad you're back. TJ, I couldn't let you guys down. I figured we'll go ahead and do one live stream today and then call it good. Today's going to be more of like a rest, homework / family day. So, unless anything big happens, I'm talking big, guys. Like if we see a sudden, Cat 1 coming towards Florida or Cat 1 forming in the Caribbean, I'm probably going to take the rest of the day off. So please share the earlier live streams. Please share this live stream so everybody can keep up to date with what's happening. And I know that there are going to be other sources providing video updates as well. Please feel free to check them out. Watch the National Hurricane Center. Do a little research on your own time. Good morning. Will the U.S. Virgin Islands get some rain? Yes, Savannah, you will, but in time. A lot of that stuff is going to be confined to the Leeward Islands for now. It will work its way to the west slowly but surely, but it's going to take a little bit because you guys are sitting pretty out here alongside Puerto Rico. You might see some daytime thunderstorms happen today. I know yesterday I saw some thunderstorm activity over Puerto Rico and parts of the Virgin Islands just through daytime heating, so there's no saying that you can't get thunderstorms from there. But in terms of what Tammy's doing, I don't think you're going to see a direct influence in your weather pattern from Hurricane Tammy. Wash, slang for doing the laundry. Clothes are mostly air dried outside. That's probably the better way to do it personally than a dryer. I've had a lot of negative run-ins with a dryer before, either shrinking clothes or just leaving them moist and smelly. So thank you all for keeping me updated. You're very welcome. Another great live. Thank you for keeping everybody safe and updated. We do appreciate all the hard work that you put in constantly, day in and day out, and I always learn something new. You're very welcome, Brian. Very, very welcome. Always fun and always a pleasure to have all my folks in here. Our community, guys. We are very close-knit. We're not a big page, but I love the fact that we're very close-knit. We're always in here talking tropics. We're always in here having a good conversation. Very good stuff. This is Ethan's Life signing out. Yeah, guys, I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping the stream up, too. Pay attention to my community posts. If there's anything big, I'll probably blast out a static update to my YouTube page as like an image. If you don't have me on Instagram, I'll definitely pop up and do little updates on there as well throughout the day. In terms of a live stream or a video today, though, Sunday is usually my rest day from all things weather. I wanted to come on here and make contact with you guys, see if we had anybody from Bermuda tuning in who could kind of give us an update on what's happening out there. But yeah, we'll see what happens. The center of Tammy is well to the north of everybody. You can't even see it on the radar anymore, so that's good news. Now we're just at war with all the backside moisture, which is exactly what hit hard with Tropical Storm Philippe. Very similar setup, so we'll definitely have to wait and see when these flood conditions will lift to the north. Because unfortunately, with the low here and the hurricane here, all in the prevailing easterlies here, that rain threat is just going to stay right overhead for a while. So, Empress Mott, yes. Tammy is all the way up to the north now. It's clear of our Lesser Antilles, clear of our Greater Antilles, and she's still moving to the north-northwest. So she is no longer a direct threat to you guys. No more potential landfall. She's moved downstream ahead of you guys. That's the main priority I wanted to update you all with today, is Tammy is on her way out. Everybody down there is catching a break. We just got to watch the thunderstorm activity going on. No, Jevin, Tammy isn't fake. It's just thankfully she moved to the east. Last night I was a little nervous after that westward jog that she took right into Bermuda, but luckily she literally straightened herself out and just moved right up into the Atlantic out of the Caribbean. Spoke to friends on Bermuda, no significant damage reported. Heck yeah, okay, at least for that area of Bermuda, that's very good news. Very good news. Because, a Category 1 is deadly, but it's not the most catastrophic. It's much better than what we were forecasting before. I know the week before, on Thursday, Friday, it was looking like a Cat 3 moving through there, and thankfully, we saw a lot of positive trend with this system, and it looks like Tammy herself is no longer an issue. We have a lot of moisture still out there, so the thunderstorms are going to kick it and try to rain on your parade, no pun intended. But in terms of seeing a hurricane landfall, we're done. We're done, guys. We're done. Still got to watch what's out in the main development region and watch what happens with Tammy as she goes forward in time, as well as in the Caribbean, the Central Caribbean for that matter, but the strongest winds are to your north now. Thanks for updates. Everyone stay safe and have a blessed Sunday. Dion, thank you very much. T3 Kaneen or Techneen, or however you say that name, I apologize. You're very welcome. Yes, Empress, I agree. Give thanks. We can definitely take a big, deep breath. Like I said, unfortunately, the threats themselves are not done. We have a lot of rain and moisture hanging out and a lot of good energy that could throw things up, but Tammy in of herself is gone. Here in Antigua, it's raining, hearing some thunder. Is it going to get worse? Slowly but surely, Vaughn, you're going to have some more potent thunderstorm activity work its way through that area. But Tammy is gone. She's up to the north now. So it's going to mainly be pop-off thunderstorm activity and feeder banding that's interacting with all the different ingredients we have across not only the eastern Caribbean, but the west tropical Atlantic, kind of just meeting together over the Lesser Antilles. Thank you for all your hard work you put in day and day out for us, keeping us safe. You are the best kept secret in the meteorology world, but you're upcoming so fast and furious. Keep doing you. I'm doing my best. It's been a heck of a ride so far, Brian. That's for sure. It's been one heck of a ride. I'll leave you guys with one last bit of political information for the YouTube channel. If YouTube decides to audit my page again, it's very frustrating. We had a lot of viewers yesterday report that they suddenly were removed from my channel. So please double and triple check if you wouldn't mind if you weren't removed from my channel, because we had a lot of people tuning in yesterday for the updates. We almost had 1,000 viewers during our afternoon live stream, and I would hate for YouTube to remove you guys and miss out on any future updates of what's either out in the Atlantic or just overall weather updates for your area in general. So, it's not so much about the subscriber count. It's more so I just want to keep getting the updates out to everyone who was gracious enough to tune into my live stream. It was a pleasure having you guys in there. Thank you very much for taking the time to join in. So please just double check the subscription status. Make sure that you weren't forcibly removed from my page. It's been very disappointing over the last 24 hours. It's been happening quite a bit. But in the meantime, guys, we'll keep you posted. I may not jump on another live today, but it's been an absolute joy interacting with everybody over the last 24 hours. Again, thank you very, very much for tuning in and joining me for all these different Wxcenter live segments. We'll be back soon. We'll definitely be in touch. I'll keep you guys posted. We'll communicate again, and we'll meet back up for another live stream either later tonight if something big pops off. If not, same time as always, 8 p.m. tomorrow evening with a full-fledged segment at 6 p.m. tomorrow afternoon, or I should say early evening. Ladies and gentlemen, though, God bless. Enjoy your Sunday. For folks out there in the Lesser Antilles, keep an eye on the radar. You have a lot of thunderstorm activity still in the area, but Tammy is definitely north. Tammy is moving away, so we can finally put Tammy behind us. Everybody else out there, especially Bermuda, Southeast United States, Bahamas, we got to watch what she does, and we got to watch what takes shape in the Caribbean. So you best believe I'm going to have my magnifying glass out, my eyes wide open. We're going to be watching closely, and I'll update you as I get more information, okay? Everybody, we'll talk to you very soon. It's been an absolute pleasure. In the meantime, this is Weather Center Nazario, signing out.